What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be talking about the 3 phases of any single route, okay? I think this is going to be a great video for you guys to understand the concept of route running and break it down so you guys can understand it. Very simple process, and route running is not rocket science, no matter how hard sometimes it may seem. These are just 3 easy things that you must do on every single route that you guys can improve on. So the 3 phases of the route is we got the stem, we got the explosion at the top of the route, and then we got the acceleration. So these are the 3 areas that we're going to cover. And guys, if you want to become a more explosive athlete, check out that link in the description that says 28-day speed workout plan and get you a full month-long workout plan designed to improve your speed. Hope to get you guys on that soon. Okay, let's get started with this breakdown. So the first part we're going to be focusing on is this stem, okay? So the main thing about the stem, and this applies because, you got route. We're going to be looking at a curl route right here. You got a post route that this applies to, a slant this even applies to, and even a hitch. But the main thing about this stem, and this is a basic scenario, right? Off man situation, zone situation. Press, it varies, but it's really the same thing in press as well. And then there are times where you want to change up the tempo on this stem, right? We're not going to focus on that today because that's a little bit more of and we've talked about that in past videos. If you want to check out some of the recent videos where we talk about tempo and changing up the tempo to lull this DB to sleep, that's more of a mind game thing. But when it comes to your stem, 2 things. You got to be fast. You can't give an indicator. Well, 3 things. You got to be fast, can't give an indicator, and you got to sell vertical, right? Which all kind of ties hand in hand. So let's watch this route. So you see Diggs here, very fast, and he's able to drop his hips on a dime. And all 3 of these things tie together, fellas, which is why we're going to talk about that today. So you see how he's here. Fast, full speed, normal stride length, right? And I want you to see his pad level. It's at this 45-degree angle, right? If he's got a situation where he's in zone or there's a DB maybe right here running stride for stride with him, 100% of the time this is selling vertical, right? He's got his eyes looking forward. He's got his pad level going forward as he's in a full stride, right? Where the mistake a lot of receivers make is that they'll come off and they'll be completely vertical with their pad level. They'll have their chin up in the air. We want to try to keep this 45-degree pad level. I'm driving my arms and I'm getting out of this break. Now, when I come up to this break, it's very important that you don't right before it. So let's say he's breaking off this 4th outside step, right, which is about 12 yards. Let's say right before it, what you don't want to do is raise your chest up and get real choppy with your steps, then get into this break. And that's a mistake a lot of young receivers make. They'll be running full speed, and then they'll think they got the stem good. They think they sold vertical, and right before the break, they'll chest or pop up. They'll expose their number. They'll bring their chin up in the air. Hands will drop, and their feet get real choppy, right? Now, all that is if I'm a DB and I'm playing in zone and I'm watching your hips, and I'm trying to gauge the tempo of your speed, and I feel you start to bring your chest up, you bring that number up, your hips get a little bit higher, and then you drop down. I'm breaking full speed on this ball. I'm stopping my feet. I know something's coming, right? Now, you can play mind games with guys and try to do that where you slow down, and then you get into a break and you run like a stutter go or something like that, but it's not the most effective way to do it, right? You've got to be able to have a full speed stride, being able to pump those arms, same stride length, sell vertical at the pad level, and then drop on a dime, okay? And that's going to bring me to my next point where we talk about the explosion created at the top. And the only way you can create that explosion is if you're full speed into the break in a scenario where you're running a curl, maybe you run a slant, post, corner, where you got to actually push vertical, pop this foot off, and get out. Okay, so let's watch this thing full speed. It's a great example of a stem here. Now we're going to be looking at Jeudy in the next clip, talking about his steps at the top of the route and his energy creation at the top of the route. So you see here is a great example of what we were just talking about, right? So speed in, normal stride length right here, driving those arms, good pad level. Now, when we're going full speed, right, I'm going to play this full speed. When we're going full speed, the only way I'm able to change direction fast is by being violent with my hips or being sudden with my feet. So that's what we call phase 2, right? Phase 1 is the stem, right? We already talked about the stem. Phase 2 is the energy creation at the top, being able to drop my hips violently, create some explosion, which shoots me into phase 3, which is the acceleration. Like I said, it's all tied together. So now we're going to talk about what the technique is on that. So you see when Jeudy's here, full stride, right? Normal stride length. Now when he snaps down, you see how he's right in stride. He does not lose a beat, right? And then same thing when you're running just a quick post. Maybe when you're running a stop route and you got to snap down and get off in 2. Or maybe when you run a comeback like this example, slant, you want to be full stride. You see how he doesn't get a step super choppy right before it. He's able to stay in stride and he's able to drop right now. And you see how violent his hips are. Your hips got to be violent. You got to be right at parallel or maybe just a little bit below parallel, but that aggressive drop is what will decelerate you. What a lot of guys will do is they'll run up and their hips are slow. It takes them this long process to get down rather than a guy who just drops right now and gets his hips down. Now, the thing about that is a lot of guys will drop their hips, but what they do is their chest is up in the air. Their pad level's vertical, their chin is up, and they try to lean back and then run out of this thing. They try to open up that inside shoulder right here. That's not what we want to do. We want to run out of this break. That's the key to be able to get to that phase 3. We got to create some energy. So how I create some energy is I'm violent with my hips, chin to my knee, and that creates that explosion that I need, because it's like when you run a 40, right? When you run a 40, you don't just pop straight up off the line of scrimmage and try to run. You stay in that explosive position for about 5 yards, and you drive out of there, right? And to create that acceleration so you don't run out of gas when you get to the top of the 40, so your fast twitch fibers don't gas out. Same idea when you're running a route. I want to be able to create some energy so it shoots me into the acceleration phase of the route that we're going to talk about in a second. Now, you guys might be thinking, okay, well, this is just a comeback route. How do I do this on a post route? How do I do this on a corner route where it requires a speed cut, maybe a rocker step, some kind of move at the top of the route? When you make that cut, when you make that unnecessary, like that speed cut, like you're running a post, like let's say Judy's here, let's say he's running an out route, right? And let's say he's breaking off of this leg and running an out. He wouldn't be reaching, I guess, as much for this break. He would just pop it right in the ground, sudden cut. When your feet are sudden and you keep your hips committed to that stem, right? You keep your hips committed to that stem, you're in a good pad level, and you're sudden with that foot, and you make that stick. You want to push off the inside part of your foot, and that directs you to the acceleration phase of the route. So how you create energy on a speed cut, keep the same pad level, you shoot that foot down suddenly, and you push off of that inside arch and open up that hip, and then you drive those arms to get you into that acceleration phase, which is what we're going to talk about next. Let's watch this thing full speed one more time. So he's coming off here, full speed, drops these hips right on a dime, violent. That's what gets me out of this break. And again, I know, and there's one more thing before we get into the third phase. You see how he's here? Let's go back to this clip. I want to touch on this real quick. You see how when he's here and he snaps, pivots, hooks around, and that third step hooks around on this, and then he takes that fourth step right there. Some of you might be like, oh, well, he wasn't out in 3 steps. That step, I could care less about steps. I care about time. Yes, we want to be out of it in 3 steps. That's not an easy thing to do, and it takes a lot of practice, right? It takes months of work to be able to get this stem down, being able to drop on a dime and get out in 3, right? I work with that with a lot of my guys. I would rather have you take 4 or 5 steps and actually sell vertical and actually drop on a dime and create some energy and cut out time. Some guys are so caught up in steps, they'll run up, and then my favorite question I get all the freaking time is, oh, this guy, I could get out in 1 step, coach. No, you can't. You slow down right before you get into the break, right? And it's impossible to change direction going full speed, 15 yards downfield, and cut on a dime. And if you think you can, I challenge you to run full speed and be able to drop and just get out in 1 step with going forward and not leaning back, okay? You have to be able to take 3 steps is probably the minimum. Can't take 2 steps, can't take 1 step. It's not realistic. And if you try to, that's how you drift, and that's how you lose explosion. So what? You cut out steps. I want to cut out time spent. If I could take 5 steps and I'm faster than you into the break and I'm faster than you out of the break, I won the rep. It don't matter. It's not about cutting out steps. Yes, we would like to get 3 steps. That's always the goal. But I'd rather have 5 steps and fast than you slow down and take 3 steps. Okay, so I want to clear that up for guys who maybe have a question about steps at the top of the route. Let's snap and make sure the 2 steps that are important to me is this snap right here, being violent with your hips, chin to your knee, and then that second step being able to pivot, because that's what gets your hips down this 45 in this situation, right? On a curl, comeback, whatever you want to call it, hitch. Those are the 2 steps that are important. If you go 3 and then you go 4, 5 and then you get out, that's fine. If you're taking like 7, 8 steps, yeah, we need to cut down some steps, and that's probably because you're not being powerful enough with your hips and you're not being powerful enough with your feet. So you got to be more powerful with your hips and with your feet to get that, okay? So now, let's get to this acceleration phase. So this is going to be a shorter route. This is going to be a slant off of a release, right? So let's watch this full speed. So he sets him up with this diamond here, but you see how fast he is out of this break, right? So that's the key, and that's one of the major keys that a lot of people don't coach. A lot of people off the line, what they teach is they love teaching this crap right here. They love teaching the moves. They love teaching the fancy footwork, right? But what happens after that? How do I make sure I keep separation from this DB? So when you come off the line and you give him this quick move, you get his hips to turn, right? We give him this little hesitation 1, 2, then we go 1, 2, 3. We swat him off. This DB did not play bad. That's just a fact. That's just reality of it. He did not play this thing horrible. He could have maybe not opened up the gate a little bit. Diggs did a good job of selling vertical on this and making it look the same as his other routes. But when we're here, this is where I keep space. This is not where I get space. I get space off the line of scrimmage, right? When I work a release, that's like your phase 2 in this situation, right? And then your stem is that like initial burst up. on that like diamond release. It's that initial burst up to self-aid. That's where you create separation. This is where you keep separation, right? So the acceleration phase makes or breaks every single route. If you break a guy off the line, so what? If he's able to recover, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you nice release, but you're not open, right? You got to make sure that you're pumping those arms, driving those legs, and you're winning that race. This is the finish line right here, right where he's catching this ball. This is the finish line to the race. We got to make sure that we beat that DB to the race. Like that clip we just saw with Judy, that curl. He created energy at the top of the break with his hips, and that energy, if he continues to run his arms and he continues to drive his legs out of there, that's what will get him back on that 45 and win that race back to the ball. So this scenario right here with Diggs, you see when he comes off this line, he gets him to swat by, he's still running those arms and he's driving those legs because he knows he's got to get to that thing. He does not just sit around, he does not break him, and he's not just cruising right here and stops his feet. He's like, oh, could you give me the ball? He runs. He knows that, okay, if I'm not getting this first window, probably going to get his second window. You're running a corner, and let's say it's against a safety, like a two-eye safety look, and you break off to that corner, you bet your ass you got to pump those arms and run those legs and get out of it on a 45 because that safety's coming straight over the top. So if you can run, the quarterback can put it on a spot, and you could get there a lot faster. Okay, let's watch this thing full speed one more time. Those are the 3 phases of the route you guys must do. It's not complicated. That's what you guys got to improve on when it comes to route running, okay? All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, if you guys want to get faster and be a more explosive athlete, check out that link in the description that says Speed Workout Plan. And if you guys have any questions, please leave those in the comments. I'll see you guys next time.